and welcome to a special festive edition of Dave and Ryan Review. This is I'm Dave. I'm Ryan. I'm not Dave, and he's Dave. Um, and yeah, we just thought now we're in the run up to Christmas, we'll go through a few of our favourite Christmas films. And this week we're going to be reviewing the only two Home Alone films because there are only two, no matter what any sort of information says. But before we get to that, Dave, how you doing?
Oh, she's really tickled me. Yeah, I'm good. I'm really excited for this. Genuinely loving it. So yeah,
Yeah, this is obviously a good one to start. It's a very high bar to start with. um, it's two of the best. Obviously, there's quite, obviously there's been so many over history in terms of Christmas films, but these two in particular, hit me right at the right time. Probably hit you about the right time as well. Um, and yeah, let's just, I guess we crack on. So obviously, Home Alone one, and starring Macaulay Culkin, who obviously for a lot of people is the same age as should be still the same age now as he was then, but obviously not. But it came out in 1990, starring Joe Pesci um, as Harry, and then Dad was as Marv, and obviously a few other still quite well-known actors and actresses in there as well. Um, yeah, I watched this one the other day with my daughter, and it still holds up. Like it's still good. It hasn't gone like, oh man, do you see how like cheesy or lame that is? Like I feel like it's still really good. Like the moments with, especially early on with like the old man who's like killing people with the snow. He's like a shoveler and he's shoveling people, and it's just like they build that up quite well. How much you actually hate the rest of his family, so you're sort of happy for him at the beginning. You're like, yeah, good. Like, I'm glad he hasn't got away with these idiots. Like, they're awful, all of them awful. Like, and there's also bits which I found when I was watching, like is it his Uncle Frank? He really tickled me. Now watching it as an adult, like before, I would never have even like Uncle Frank, like whatever, like I don't care. But, it was all about the other kids and Macaulay Culkin. But Uncle Frank really made me laugh. Like really, really made like there was a bit on the plane. I'll jump in a bit, but we're not really going to go through the whole thing. There's a bit on the plane where the mum has realised that they've left Kevin. Kevin, like they've realised they've left Kevin, and Uncle Frank's like, I know how you feel. I left my reading glasses at home as well, and they just look at him like, what? Like it's not even slightly the same, and that
he's
just
so
really, I love.
cheap. He's so cheap, isn't he?
Oh, so like beyond cheap, and now having experienced people in real life that are like that, um, and it's just really funny, and it's just yeah, great film. It's really good. So what are your initial thoughts on that film, Dave?
I think the characters in all the film are great. From everybody's got like their motives for the things they're doing. Even like the mum, is panicking to get the house ready and get everybody out, and the dad is kind of the same, and you've got the burglars, and you know you can kind of see where everyone's at, and obviously Kevin being the main star is surrounded by this great cast. But yeah, it's Home Alone, so a lot of the film is just him, but it's just done so well, isn't it? And I think just that the house is great to look at visually. It's this massive house that you'd love to have a house like that as a kid when I was growing up. Um, so much potential, and it's
It's
obviously
funny.
set.
You know what you just said about the house. Now, as a kid, yeah, I want to live in that house. Now, as an adult, I'm like, man, that's a lot of rooms to clean. It's so many rooms to look after. It's like, geez, like, that's a lot of dusting and hoovering and all sorts just to keep that thing going.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it's just funny.
Another funny thing is at the beginning of the film, Joe Pesci standing there as a policeman,
Mm,
and nobody's even acknowledging him. And I just said to my wife, I went, he should just walk around the house now and start nicking stuff because they didn't even care that he was there.
yeah, Absolutely. Yeah, it's a funny sort of opening, and also it shows how sort of just manic and chaotic the situation is why they obviously that's what they're trying to show, that there's just so much chaos going on that no one's paying attention to what's actually happening, and that's why Kevin obviously ends up um as left at home. But like you said, the film, a lot of it is him on his own, and for that reason he has to be great, and he just
Mm.
is. Like Macaulay Culkin is so good. Now
I
obviously,
don't, I don't, I don't for one second believe that anyone. How old is he? 8 years old. Is that what he's
yeah,
meant to be?
yeah, yeah.
I don't believe for one second that an 8 year old could do this, do the things he does.
No,
But that's the beauty of cinema, isn't it?
yeah, you
You
can
know,
you can suspend belief, or suspension of disbelief, um and sort of just go along with it, and you just go, yep, absolutely, like, yeah, of course, because he is so charismatic, as in Macaulay Culkin
mm,
is so charismatic, is so funny, and he just sort of he's
yeah.
just so good that, yeah, you're just like, yeah, of course he can. Like, he's not a shy and
Just,
retiring.
just
He's not.
like I was just going to say, just like he loves them that they're not there. I made my family disappear, and
The eyebrows
gets
go,
the
and
gets the sled out, goes down the stairs, climbs up Buzz's thing, gets the money, you know, goes shopping or whatever. He just like does what he wants, eats the ice cream. That you do know that film, in the film, the Filthy Souls one,
yeah, it's fake, isn't it? It's a fake film.
they made that for the
Amazing,
film
amazing.
and the second one as
I
well.
remember when I found that out, I was like, wow. Because I was like, oh man,
Yeah,
I wonder, that'd be a good film to watch. But they made a fake film. I mean, just so good, and
yeah.
and just seeing him, like you said, enjoy the time, but then sort of be like, oh, maybe this isn't as good as I thought. When the burglars first turn up and he's hiding, and he's like, oh man, and you sort of see him turn from, like, I need to defend this house, this is my house, and I need to defend it. And like you said, an 8-year-old coming up with stuff would have to be a psychopath. Basic. You actually think, you know, the first one is not as bad, but the second one obviously is like, he's actually a murderer. Like, he's murdering these. He would have in any other film, he murders those guys, but in this first one, it's so funny. So many, he puts
Who,
his head.
who, who? Sorry. Oh, I know what you mean. Don't worry. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Um,
with the traps
yeah, yeah.
and
Ki-
the bricks and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one, okay, yeah, like, but the second one, he is literally just trying to kill them. In the second one, he's not trying to stop them
Mm,
from, like in the first one, you was like, oh, he's just trying to stop them from coming in. Um,
mm,
but in the second one, he's just trying to murder them. Um,
mm.
but in that, yeah, it's so good. The bit where he he heats the doorknob up, and he's just like, ah, and you see Joe Pesci like on the floor scrambling around, puts his hand. It's so well done.
I
And they're
love
both great.
I love when he puts his hand in that snow and he's like, oh, and he's so
He pulls it
he's
out,
so
and he's
like
just like,
relieved.
ah, like his hand is wrecked. It's just destroyed. His hand is so bad. And even actually before that, the first bit where he gets burnt, when his head is on fire with like the
Mm,
blowtorch. I mean, that is just. And you see, it's Joe Pesci, and his head is on fire. I think he came out recently and said he got burns from it. I'm not surprised. I mean, that he was on fire.
yeah,
Um,
there's no CGI back
yeah, there was
then.
no no CGI there. He was on fire, and it was just it's just so funny. And Marv, I'm trying to think who my favorite is. I think Marv is my favorite. He's so fun, and obviously just him falling over on the ice, falling down the stairs. He puts his foot on the nail, just awful.
That bit
Um,
is hilarious.
it's just horrible because you can fit because it's so slow onto that nail. You can really
I
feel
feel.
the pain.
We'll get into it a bit more later, I guess. But I always felt like the traps in the first one were more realistic and something that I could set up as a kid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The second
Um,
one just took it to a whole nother level of just insanity. Like, it was
yeah,
crazy.
and it relied on people not being able to look at the floor a couple of times for
Yes,
the trap to
like the
work.
big hole in the floor. It's like, just look forwards and it's there. But then it's not as funny. So you sort of go, well, it's funny. It's funnier that they don't look.
Yeah. So
Um,
should we wrap with one?
I think one thing we haven't mentioned is the music.
Yeah. Oh yeah, incredible.
John Williams,
Again,
just
a legend.
legend,
Even just the beginning
amazing.
with the house logo,
My
and
favorite is
the light. Mm.
It's just amazing. Just
It
I
really
just I
does.
think I've just got goosebumps was just humming that, by the way.
It really, you do really get into the Christmas
Yeah,
spirit, and
it's
I
very
don't,
festive.
you don't see this any other time of year. I know that's because it's a Christmas movie, but sometimes other films get put on and stuff. But this really does seem to come around once a year, so you enjoy it a bit more.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very festive. The music definitely makes you feel like this is so it's very Christmassy.
Mm,
But the music is perfect. Um, I just think it's just very fun. And just obviously that time period is just so
yeah,
nostalgic. It's an amazing time. But obviously these days it wouldn't happen because some kid would probably have a phone and just go, "Hey mum, you left me at home." Oh, okay. Well, we'll just get Auntie Shelley to come over
I
and
saw a meme of that basically exactly that. It was hilarious. Like, oh, I'll come home, or you
yeah,
just voice call them or video call them.
yeah, exactly. And there's no
My
mix up or whatever. Um,
my favorite bit in this film is the build up with the music is Kevin running away. They think they've got him. Marva's got him by the leg, and he grabs that spider and slowly puts it on his face.
the
And
scream.
the scream and the music every time gets me. It is hilarious. And I know how it's coming. And when I had this on VHS, my tape was so broken from rewinding to that bit that I'd ruined the film for those who don't know VHS. That was what would happen if
Unbelievable.
you watch things too many times or rewound it too much.
Yeah, that
Um,
was a great moment. That is a really great moment. The bit that always, I always forget in the film. Obviously the old man saves him, but when he looks out of the window and sees the man with his son and kid,
hmm,
now again as an adult, that bit is like very heartwarming. I think as a kid I was like, oh, old man and his
what
son.
the old man?
Yeah, the old man, and you see him
Oh
with his
yeah,
son. As a kid, I'm not sure if I didn't really feel anything. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Now it's very
yeah,
like, oh, that's very heartwarming seeing that
yeah,
moment, um, seeing him sort of reunited with his family. It's a really lovely moment. So yeah, it's
yeah.
just
And
number one is just great.
it really is, and you know, sure. I won't say what I was going to say, but we can move on to
Yeah,
two.
yeah. So two, um, again, it came out a couple of years later, I think. Obviously, he's a little bit older.
He
They
looks older, doesn't he?
he does he does look older, but not too much that it's like, oh, ridiculous.
No.
And obviously the beginning they sort of fake out that he's missing. They're like, "Where's Kevin?" And he's like, "You think you already forgot me?" He's in the front of the van. They're like, "Oh, Kevin," even though his family is still a bit of dicks to him, kind of. But the one thing, what actually what my wife said about Home Alone 1 is that she's a terrible mother. Is that she forgot her
Well,
son.
it was her youngest son.
Yeah, like
because I
horrific.
because I because I said to my wife, I went, oh, but the Fuller was the younger. She went, no, that's
Yeah,
Uncle
that's
Frank's
cousin. That's
youngest.
cousin. Yeah, yeah,
Imagine leaving any children is bad to leave,
yeah.
but your
But your
youngest
youngest
is,
son. Yeah, yeah. Unbelievable. She was like, she's a terrible mother. And then Kevin forgives her very quickly, like very
mm,
quick. Obviously, just for the movie. Okay, we get it. Like, but still, she's very lucky he forgives her. But anyway, the second
mm,
one they fake out in the beginning, don't they? And then he gets lost at the airport when he sees a guy that looks like his dad.
yeah,
And then obviously it cuts to them in Miami, I think the family go to. Kevin's in
yeah,
New York, and he's like, "Oh no, it's happened again." Like, and he's looking into New York, and then he's like, just heads on into like he doesn't just stay in the airport. He's like, "All right, I'm going to New York because his uncle or something lives there, I think."
yeah.
Um,
Who you never see, but look, going
they
back to
mention
that
him
airport,
loads, but you never see him.
I love that airport bit because You know, it's really well done. Them running through, they're all in a rush, and the guy with the same coat.
Yeah.
You know,
Crosses past, doesn't he? Like,
you,
and he
you've
sees
got
him and goes, "Oh yeah, there he is."
you got the classic rushing music as well.
Yeah.
You know, John Williams.
Yeah, brilliant.
And you know when he gets on the plane, when he runs into that woman with all the tickets, and it's like, oh, my ticket's here somewhere.
Yeah, she's
All
like,
right,
"Well, just get on."
get him on the plane, and oh, there's my dad. It's so good. It's very clever. It's not, would never happen in
Because
today's day and age.
yeah, because exactly, it would have to be back then. Because again, why would this woman think why would a 10-year-old kid be like sneaking onto a plane? She's like, "Oh, there's his dad. All right, fine." Um, and yeah, so it's sort of believable that she's like just waves him on, like he's saying that's his dad. All right, yeah, fine. Um, and yeah, like now obviously it's impossible. You have to go for like 3 different checkpoints basically just to get on the bloody plane. So someone would go, yeah, you're in the wrong place, mate. Before you got there, but yeah, he gets to New York, and then I guess he goes to the Plaza Hotel.
Well,
Where does he go first? Does he go to the hotel first, or does he go to his uncle's first?
No, he doesn't. He heads to the. He's sort of like sightseeing for a bit.
Sees a pigeon lady for the first time.
He's got the talk boy, which helps him out a lot in this film. And he's like, the Plaza Hotel, blah 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 blah. And he's got his dad's credit card, so he books himself a room, and that's where you're introduced to the cast of the hotel staff, which is great. Obviously, you got Rob Schneider in there.
Tim Curry, welcome.
Yeah,
we love you. Yeah, Tim Curry, amazing.
Dare we mention the guy who helps him in the lobby?
Who? Well, the Trumpinator.
Yeah, Trumpinator.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. It's so funny to see back then. He was a famous guy. People loved him for a long time. Obviously, a very controversial figure these days. But yeah, the Trumpinator's in there at the beginning. But yeah, when he first turns up, and I think does he talk to the woman first? The concierge.
Yeah, and he's like, "Where's your dad?" It's like, "Oh, we gave him his credit card."
Yeah, he's just out and about. He'll be in soon. It's like, okay, brilliant. And he sells it so well. He's such a good liar, and the woman's like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, and, he does enough. Yeah. He does enough to sway, doesn't he?
And it's so funny when, so many moments where like he's getting room service. Just talking about the hotel for a bit, like Rob Schneider. The bit where my brother, we would always laugh at this bit. It's like, obviously the first time he tips him, he puts chewing gum in his hand, and then he goes. Then obviously the second time he comes, he's like, "Oh, do you want a tip?" He's like, "No, sir, I'm fine." And he puts chewing gum. He's like, "No tip," and he's got like $2,000 in his hand. Okay, and then Rob Schneider, I think Jack used to, and actually all of us, but my brother used to say, no, wait, because he wants that that tip so much, it shuts in his face like, no, wait. It's just so funny. It's a very funny moment. Again, a very small moment, but so funny, a memorable moment. But just to think about that hotel, there's so many moments, like with Tim Curry, when he doesn't like this kid, and he knows something's wrong, and he's just like, hello, like, he's like, I'd like a cheese pizza and a limo, and all this kind of stuff, and this guy is just like this kid, man, just
that bit where the limo turns up with the pizza and he opens it up, and that I've never wanted a pizza so much.
Yeah, the steam is unbelievable. Yeah, just they make that pizza look like the best pizza that's ever been created.
I said when we were watching it, I went, "This is like my perfect day out, going to a toy store with a pizza and a limo on my own."
Yeah, it was so good.
But then he goes to Duncan's toy chest, which, if you actually look, it's the worst toy shop you've ever seen in your life.
What? Why?
There's nothing good in it, mate. It's nothing.
It's all just like wooden trains and stupid.
It's not. It's just it's like Wendy houses and Christmas trees. It's so bad. But obviously you get to meet Mr. Duncan, who has his money that is going to be robbed. Really funny. Obviously you see the sticky bandits now. out and about, and
Did they see him? Did they see him first?
so they're walking along the street and they cross the road, and he sort of bumps shoulders just a little bit, and Joe Pesci looks around and he's like, "Oh, I thought I saw something," and then Marv accidentally bumps into that woman,
Oh yeah.
and she's looking at him like, "What are you doing?" And he like locks eyes and he's like, "Oh, I've got a chance here." And she just slaps him round the face. Another little moment that just really funny.
Yeah. So then, because I haven't watched that one for a little bit, I haven't watched that one. Probably watch it soon. But what is so from then? How does it? I can't even remember how they find him. Are they just walking around again? They bump into him.
Oh, how do they find Kevin?
Yeah.
Good question. I can't quite remember. I think it's in the street because they stand there and he just turns around and screams in the middle of broad daylight. So I think it's just a case of they saw him.
Hey, buddy, and they're like, yeah, and they're like, because then he gets away because he hides in the back of the thing, and then do they catch him at the hotel as well? Don't they?
They catch him again later on,
and then he pitches him
and they reveal the plan of what they're going to do. And obviously, this is the bit I was going to say earlier. But the stupid pigeon woman that looks like Piers Morgan, that is trying to be the character that was the old man in the first film.
It doesn't work as well, I don't think.
No, it doesn't. It really, I could do without her. Nobody likes the pigeon lady.
The only good bit is later on, but we'll get to that in a sec. The scream is just unreal. Oh, what do you mean? No, the scream is amazing.
It's amazing, but you didn't need her to have the scream. You could have just had anyone.
If she facilitated the scream, I'm okay with her being in it. It's fine.
So it's clutching at straws for me.
Piers Morgan. So yeah,
it's not really Piers Morgan, by the way, but it looks like it.
But he overhears their plan. He goes and trashes. He stops the plan, doesn't he? He smashes the window with the money wrapped around it, and basically sets off his traps to stop these guys again. And my goodness, as I mentioned earlier, the lethality of these traps is just off the charts.
Well, let's go through each one and ask if that actually happened in real life. Would someone die? We'll start off with bricks.
Absolutely
about
dead.
5 bricks.
So dead.
It was hilarious. The way, you die from that one.
So dead.
Then they split up, and you got thingy around the back, and he jumps up on that ladder, and it slips, doesn't it? Yeah. So he would land on his back. You could argue break his back.
All the paint landed on them, dead. Like the paint can, full paint cans landed on you. That's so heavy.
The electric.
Yep, dead. So dead. Again, one of the best ones where he's shaking and he turns into the skeleton. I mean, it's so good. It's such a good moment. It's so funny. And the worst part about it is it starts off like, oh, and it's quite low. And it cuts to Kevin and he just goes, like he turns it all the way up. And it's like...
He's like not even a little bit concerned,
yeah, he doesn't go a little bit up. He just turns it the whole way round. And then Marv turns into a skeleton. It is so... And the skeleton is screaming because he's so electrified at that moment.
The trap that gets me the most in this one, and I would say it's on par for the spider, is Joe Pesci turning the lights on and the fire on his head,
and then having his head in the toilet that's got what's it got, like white spirit or something, like it's got petrol in there or something.
It's like the tap's not working. They're like desperation. Just manages to launch himself upside down.
Explodes, and it just explodes the room because he's... Oh my goodness.
That is so funny. But again, he would have been dead there.
Absolutely dead. And then one of the funniest ones is like the paint cans come down. It's like, oh, right in the schnoz. Oh, he got me. And they're like, I'm coming. And they do the fake run up the stairs. Oh, it got me right in the kisser. And they're like, that's it. And then they comes out, and then the biggest biggest thing ever comes flying round. The massive pole comes around, and it just it just absolutely destroys. It just absolutely destroys them.
What
And
is that thing?
it's like a how did he rig it? Like I don't.
Yeah.
It's so big. Like this thing is massive, and it's been held up by a bit of string as well. By the way, like
Then he
so
just cuts it once.
he just cuts it and it falls and it smashes again. Dead from the thing swinging round. Dead from it going down the stairs and land. They, by the way, they fall off the stairs down through the. They fall to the basement, don't they?
Yeah.
They're so they'd be so dead. They'd be
Then the
so
top of the building, the rope.
the rope on fire. They fall. They fall like 4 stories. Don't they? Oh man, they fall so far. It falls
Oh.
because he's like, "Are you coming to get me?" And it's all like the rope is like smells like kerosene or like whatever they say. And he let again Kevin watching them lighting it on fire, and they're like, "No, no, no, go back up, go back up." And then they fall from so high up, like again dead, so dead. And then
Then the paint cans again.
then the paint cans again.
I mean,
Then
that might not kill them, but
they've
pretty
just fallen
bad.
from like 3 or 4 stories high, 5 stories high,
Mm.
however tall that townhouse was. It was insane. And then obviously they go to the park, and he sets off. No, he.
They're about to shoot him with that gun, by the way.
Oh, it's got all the goo in it, isn't it? And then
Yeah.
then the woman throws seed on them, and they're like they turn, and then and then the birds come absolutely. And those birds are actually on those actors. Like
Yeah.
Marv,
I couldn't do that.
the scream is incredible, and then he lights the fireworks, doesn't he? And the police turn up and take him away again. But yeah, I think some really funny. Obviously, we miss a couple of moments in the hotel with the staff where it's like, "We love you." It's like I've been having with Sloppy Joe with the little Gimpy Joe with the limp and all this other. It's like he's like, "Not me." Like, like
Oh yeah.
the guy's like, not me. I didn't. Like, so funny.
And even the guy in the video is even more brutal this time around.
Yeah, he's a lot more vicious. And then
Just gunning down the woman.
keep the change, you filthy animal. And a, and a happy. What was it? Is it Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, and a Happy New Year? Like it's just, and then they're all crawling like, get down! There's a madman around, and he's crawling on the floor. So good. So yeah, so good. But yeah, then obviously the mum turns up again at Rockefeller, and I'd just be like, "Hey, mum, like,
Yeah, where have you been?
what the hell's going on?" But yeah, that's I guess it's sort of Homeland 2. I think as a film, number one is better.
I agree. However,
Number two is way funnier. Like just talking about it
so
with you, it's so funny. Like it's
yeah,
so it's so funny. There's so many
the
funny
high the
bits.
highs are the
Yeah,
highs are higher, but
yeah.
the film is not as complete as the
No,
first one.
no. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah,
So
definitely.
I watched 1 and 2 this week, and I was asking the question to myself, which one is actually better? And I wanted to give it a fair, go over.
Mm.
And my answer is 1, based on they're obviously got very similarities. The old man story, like you say, is heartwarming. There's a Christmas element to it there, reunites with him, and obviously the pigeon lady being the equivalent of that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, because
There's
it's sort of
actually
yeah,
this in number 2. I think you'll find this 2 has got a few moments where it actually slows down a lot.
yeah.
Like it's definitely when you meet that pigeon woman.
Yeah,
It's
because he
just
goes to
it
like
does
the
slow.
opera or something, doesn't he? And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it slows down, goes to the opera, then you see the family and they're in the rain and they're watching like It's a Wonderful Life in a different language, and it's just it does slow down a bit. I think 1 is, brilliant. They're both pretty much on par for me, but if I had to pick one, I think 1 is better.
Yeah,
But if you like 2 better,
fair enough. Yeah.
go for it. You know what I mean?
Like you heard us laughing, is
Yeah.
it is so funny. Like it is so funny that one. But yeah, just great films to watch. I could watch them, like you said, every year, every
Mm.
Christmas, quite easily. Never got a problem with that. And yeah, just good films overall. And love Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
You know, so
Always,
good.
always, always forget that John Candy's in the
The
first one
first
as
one, yeah,
well.
it's crazy, isn't it? Like he's in it for such a small amount of time. Um, Obviously he'd worked with Macaulay Culkin before on Uncle Buck,
Mm.
but he's not in anything in any of the scenes with Macaulay Culkin. He's only with the mum for a little bit, and again,
The stupid thing with the mum is she gets home and
oh
then
yeah,
ten
and then the
seconds
family,
later,
yeah, the family
it's
again.
like, well, you should have just stayed together then.
Yeah. Amy was like, she's just done all of that, but then she was like, well, she deserved it. She had to go through. She had to go through all that heartache and that pain of getting home for penance for leaving her
I felt
son.
like the dad didn't seem to care as much, but I
He
guess
didn't
he's like
care at
looking at.
all. I'm just like, is this that like? He was like, hey, Kev, you're all right, and that's it. And I'm like, dude,
There's a there's a really fun. I'll finish on a really funny moment in two that got me cracking up the other day, where the parents go to the police station to report Kevin missing again, and they're basically like, um, this has happened again. And the dad goes, but funny enough, we never lose our luggage. And they both start cracking up. And they're like, and then the mum's just like, oh. And it's just such a hilarious moment where there's just like this laughter, but they're like, they're just
like,
laughing because it's
it's
such
so
an
terrible.
awful situation.
Yeah, this it's
It's so
so
terrible.
terrible. Yeah.
But it's almost like a realistic thing that would happen when you're going through something terrible because you're just trying to find some sort of
Yeah,
release.
yeah, from the
So
awfulness. Yeah.
so it's really funny to see them two do that. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, great films overall. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, we'll be doing this uh again with with a couple other Christmas films as we go along, and yeah, just watch it if you haven't seen them, which I find it hard to believe anyone really hasn't seen these films. But if you're into
Mm.
any sort of Christmas films, then I'd recommend these two definitely. And as I said,
Mm.
there are only two, so stop at two. Don't
Yeah.
don't look for anything else. Anything else that says it is Home Alone is a lie. Is lying. It doesn't.
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well,
All right.
thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back again with another review soon enough. See you later.
See you later.